First, though, Kevin Durant, I don't know if you've heard this, but he decided to leave the Warriors for the Nets this summer. Has it come out yet? I don't know. Magic Johnson was on First Take this morning. He addressed that and also Durant's comments that, remember Durant said in the magazine article recently that over time he felt like he was a little separated from some of the guys who had been drafted into the organization, that it was KD and the Warriors. Here's Magic on First Take today.
I just want him to find happiness, because when I look at Michael Jordan, I look at Kobe Bryant, this brother, Kevin Durant, is one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen in NBA history.
Absolutely.
NBA history. So I just want him to be happy, but I don't know where he's going to find it at if he can't find it at Golden State.
Okay, well, KD responded to that on Twitter. Quote, "Horrible take, just regurgitated BS." Now, Durant has since deleted the tweet, but Richard, it's the internet. It's going to live forever. What is your reaction to Kevin Durant tweeting that about Magic?
I think Kevin Durant is telling the truth. At the end of the day, it was, and everyone knows this, hence the "we won before you were here" statement by Draymond. They had guys that were drafted there that are going to be legends there, and he showed up. They had already won, and so he always felt a disconnect. And so he can find happiness in a place where he builds something similar to what he had the opportunity to do in Oklahoma City. So I don't think that what Magic Johnson is saying is correct. There are places for him to find happiness in a place where he builds something himself.
Well, I mean, this is always going to follow him, right? As soon as he left Oklahoma City, it followed him to Golden State. When he leaves Golden State, it's going to follow him to Brooklyn. And I think that he needs to stop caring about what anybody else thinks and just be happy, right? The only way you're going to be happy is if you're happy yourself. Like, it's not going to be because Magic thinks you can be happy, or right? Like, you have to find that from within yourself. And I think people who got to know Kevin in Golden State the last couple of years, like the first year he was there, it felt like, oh, he might be okay. And then he won, and he wasn't happy enough. It didn't get him to the place he thought it would get him. And I think that's when all that stuff about, what he talked about in the magazine article with J.R. Moehringer said, like, I wasn't part of the group of guys. That wasn't my team. It didn't feel like that. I think it's all true. I think that's how he felt.
Yeah, it's the truth.
I mean, look, here's two things. First of all, if Magic Johnson goes on TV and talks about Kevin Durant, I'm okay with Kevin Durant responding to that. This is not just some random fan in the comments of Instagram. Mm-hmm. By the way, he's allowed to do too, but I would maybe say, hey, maybe not so much of that. But this is one of the top players of all time coming out and talking about you. I think it's okay if you want to respond to that. What I like about what Kevin did this time that I think is very different from when he left Oklahoma City is he has talked about his reasons. He did do an interview with an outside entity. When he left Oklahoma City, he did that Players Tribune article that we've seen memed like a million times. And it was just sort of the PR spin of what he wanted to say, which I get it, but then you're not really answering the big looming questions or criticisms about you out there. By sitting down with someone and doing a thoughtful, long interview, he really got out how he was feeling and what you guys have just said about, oh, he enumerated this, that, and the other, and that makes sense to me. It lets fans in a little bit on why these moves happen. And he doesn't owe that to people, but if he doesn't want people to be critical, they have to understand him a little bit better. And he did that this time. And I actually think it's going to help with all of this. It's the reason we're all sitting here saying, if he wants to clap back at Magic Johnson or feel that way, we're good with it because of him explaining himself a little more. He doesn't owe it to us, but doing it did make his path easier.
I have no problem with that one.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.